on top, you could create a complete unique experience for your market and your players out there that would beat out your competition.
Huh. No, that's really interesting. And I mean, as far as I know, I was looking at your site. It looks like you guys have a developer program. I mean, for we happen to have a lot of developers that listen to our show, so I didn't know if you wanted to kind of pitch to them kind of what you're offering in the Logic Grip developer program and what they would potentially get in order to kind of assist them with anything that they're making.
Yeah, absolutely. So our developer program, we're sending out a 3D printed version of the Axe One, and also with that order, you would be getting the final version when we launch next spring. So that's kind of exciting. We want to like partner with you and stay with you. Originally, we launched it at a $50 price point that would embed and give everything. What we're going to be doing very quickly, probably by the time this is released, is we're slashing that price down because simply we want it in more hands. And so bringing that down to $30 would hopefully even open up a little bit more and just trying to get the product out. We're also going to be testing out very soon a version of the Axe One that doesn't have magnets at all, that just uses a plug and lock system. And the plug and lock system is really interesting because one, it is a little bit lighter, but then also it's a stronger even connection than the magnets, because that plug kind of locks in. You do lose a little bit in kind of being able to completely be blindfolded to kind of let the magnets guide their way. But our initial user test has found by doing it just a few times, you get used to know exactly where that plug is, and you can just snap it in and pull it out. So we're going to be constantly tuning our products and listening and getting feedback. But at the end of the day, yes, we want more developers out there testing it, and not just to say, hey, this is some type of aesthetic to put on my VR experience, to say, what would you do? How would you design your game differently if it required your user to hold your hands on axis like a sword, like a shovel, like an oar, a hockey stick, you name it, having that unique handheld position? How would your stories and games be played differently?
No, that's really interesting. And as far as I know, you mentioned that the consumer version is set to be released in the near future. What are some of the differences that you anticipate with the consumer version versus what is currently being sent out to developers?
Well, one of the things that we're comparing right now is the difference between what I'm calling this plug and lock adapter versus the magnetized
Okay,
one.
yeah, yeah, okay.
And that's going to be the huge question for us of what do we want product one, the real product, to be. Both
Understood.
products are finished off in the plastic. We've kind of completely nailed down with
stuff out there, but it kind of gets on my nerves when it looks like people are very, like, in a transparent way, just like over pushing a certain game. Like, there
Yeah,
have been
yeah, yeah.
definitely multiple games like that nowadays that, like, yeah, leading up to the release, like, it's just like nonstop in a way that feels really fake and manufactured.
Yeah.
And I sometimes fall into some of those, traps, just not so much uh because we're a part of that cycle, because we're not. We don't, get any kind of benefits from any of these companies as far as pushing titles in advance or anything like that. But, like, I get excited for so, like you said, it's like one of those things you have to think about when you're pushing different games, and when you're reviewing them, is how much are you being impacted by people's marketing messages and all that kind of thing. So
Yeah,
um,
I constantly was telling myself, and I was seeing people talk online, and people were hyping it up, and I couldn't participate. I just had to say, like, I can tell you the release date. That's about all I can say. And
yeah,
I was playing it, and I was constantly talking to myself, saying, "All right, is this kind of the thing we've been waiting for? Is this?" Because for the longest time, and I've grown to where I hate the phrase triple A VR title, because I feel like it's just not. I mean, yes, there is such thing as a triple A PC game. I get the idea of it, but we hear it so often, and
yeah,
the problem is it drones out smaller games that are phenomenal and amazing, and like, thank God
Well,
we got to
ironic-
play those.
I've kind of, at least up to this point, like now we're starting to see some games from bigger developers that I think understand our medium a bit more.
Yeah.
But there was a time where, like, quote unquote AAA studios were releasing content that wasn't nearly as good in VR as what a lot of the smaller teams
Yeah.
had